Beavis and Butthead. Two illiterate, fart-obsessed morons somehow defined a generation of laziness, misogyny, and chaos, while grunting their way into pop culture history. From flaming couches to toxic pickup tactics, these animated geniuses turned bad decisions into performance art. They were MTV's perfect mascots, dumb enough to offend parents, self-aware enough to make it funny. Beavis and Butthead weren't heroes. They were warnings wrapped in denim. Their idiocy was magnetic, their laughter contagious, their worldview a masterclass in brain rot. They proved that stupidity, when delivered with confidence, could conquer the 90s. So buckle up as we dive deep into every absurd, offensive, and ridiculously quotable disaster these two created. Sorry to interrupt, but you should really smash that subscribe button before Butthead figures out how to light it on fire. Thanks. Civilization's downfall. In 1993, a Newsweek writer dramatically announced that Beavis and Butthead signaled the end of Western civilization. According to him, society was collapsing because two cartoon slackers laughed at music videos. Never mind real problems. Clearly the apocalypse began with heh heh. The rant missed the point entirely. The show wasn't glorifying stupidity, it was satirizing it. Beavis and Butthead were mirrors reflecting the world's apathy and ignorance. But critics saw only chaos and blamed MTV for corrupting youth. Fast forward 3 decades, and those same doomed teenagers now run the internet. Memes, influencers, and endless screen addiction? Beavis and Butthead called it first. Their world of couch-bound commentary became our reality, except now it's monetized. So yes, civilization did fall, but not because of two cartoon morons. It fell when everyone became them with better Wi-Fi and worse opinions. Fire Fiasco. Beavis's obsession with fire burned brighter than MTV's ratings in the 90s. His infamous chant, paired with an Ohio tragedy where a child started a blaze, turned laughter into national outrage. Politicians blamed the show faster than you can yell fire. MTV panicked, censoring flames and muting Beavis's pyromaniac glee. Episodes like Comedians were chopped beyond recognition, proving that nothing kills humor like a nervous executive. The irony was tragic. Beavis didn't cause real fires. Adults did by mistaking parody for instruction. The controversy transformed the duo into scapegoats for lazy parenting and moral panic. Yet the censorship only amplified their legend. The fire chant became forbidden pop culture. Dangerous, hilarious, and irresistible. Society demanded blame, and MTV handed over two idiots with lighters. Beavis didn't start the fire. Outrage culture did, and it's still burning strong. Frog Baseball Frenzy. The debut short Frog Baseball introduced Beavis and Butthead by showcasing them beating amphibians for sport. Audiences were horrified, teenagers were thrilled, and MTV realized it had struck gold. Critics screamed about animal cruelty while fans screamed with laughter. The brilliance, or madness, lay in its unapologetic stupidity. Two clueless teens giggling at their own violence became the purest form of shock humor. It wasn't meant to inspire cruelty, it exposed ignorance. Yet parents missed the satire entirely. PETA called it barbaric, newspapers called it the death of morals, and MTV called it Tuesday. The scene was grotesque, iconic, and impossible to forget. It set the tone for everything that followed. Offensive, absurd, and weirdly self-aware. Frog Baseball didn't just launch a show, it launched a cultural war between satire and sensitivity. The frogs didn't survive, but the controversy did. Girlfriend Fiasco. Few moments capture teenage ignorance like Beavis and Butthead attempting romance. In Girlfriend, the pair treat women as props for their hormonal confusion. Critics accuse the show of normalizing harassment, and honestly, they had a point. The boys' caveman attempts at flirting blurred the line between parody and problem. Yet what made it dangerous was its accuracy. Millions of teens watched and laughed without realizing the satire. Beavis and Butthead weren't teaching confidence, they were teaching cringe. Each grunt, leer, and awkward gesture became an unintentional tutorial in what not to do. the show didn't punish them because it never rewarded intelligence either. They remained eternally clueless, immortalizing toxic stupidity as comedy gold. Watching it now feels like revisiting a social nightmare preserved in animation form. Funny, painful, and disturbingly familiar. Heroes or Zeros? The band Heroes episode is a fever dream of irresponsibility. Beavis and Butthead find guns, cause chaos, and accidentally crash a plane. MTV quickly buried it, realizing that cartoon terrorism wasn't great for ad revenue. The episode blurred humor and horror so tightly that no one could tell where parody ended. Critics called it reckless. Fans called it legendary. The magic, or disaster, was in its obliviousness. The duo weren't villains. They were walking accidents. Proof that stupidity plus power equals catastrophe. The laughter stuck in your throat because it mirrored reality too closely. By pulling the episode, MTV saved its brand but killed one of its most daring social commentaries. Heroes showed what happens when clueless youth play with adult toys, long before social media made that an everyday event. Bowling Ball Bonanza. In Ball Breakers, Beavis and Butthead weaponized physics by dropping an explosive bowling ball from a rooftop. The idea was stupidly brilliant until a real-life tragedy mirrored it. And suddenly, the show became a courtroom exhibit. Media hysteria followed, branding the cartoon as a national threat. MTV backpedaled harder than a politician caught on tape. Yet the satire was crystal clear. It mocked idiocy, not encouraged it. Unfortunately, satire needs comprehension, and comprehension was in short supply. The incident became a symbol of the eternal blame game. Art versus audience intelligence. Beavis and Butthead didn't cause the problem. They exposed it. Watching Ball Breakers now feels like forbidden nostalgia. Hilarious until you remember the headlines. It's dumb genius wrapped in tragedy, the perfect snapshot of 90s chaos marketed as comedy. Stewart's House Shenanigans. Stewart's House was supposed to be harmless fun. Instead, it turned into a health PSA nightmare. Watching Beavis and Butthead inhale oven fumes while trashing a friend's home felt like an art film about brain damage. Parents erupted, advocacy groups protested, and MTV yanked it faster than Beavis could say, "Cool." The episode was pure chaos. Two idiots nearly suffocating themselves while giggling through moral decay. The brilliance lay in its absurd confidence. These characters truly believed stupidity was an Olympic sport. Critics called it irresponsible, but fans saw it as slapstick perfection. It's the kind of humor that makes you laugh, then question your life choices. Stewart's House didn't survive, but the legend of Beavis and Butthead's chaos did. It was dangerous, dumb, and impossible to look away from. Classic MTV gold. Cornholio Unleashed. Beavis's sugar-induced alter ego, Cornholio, is chaos incarnate. The shirt-overhead maniac demanding toilet paper became one of the strangest icons of 90s culture. Critics labeled it offensive, fans called it genius. Cornholio blurred the line between parody and insanity, mocking hyperactivity and cultural stereotypes while accidentally creating a mascot for absurdity. The transformation scenes were comedy alchemy, pure nonsense performed with conviction. His gibberish became quotable gold, his antics an anthem for caffeinated stupidity. The brilliance lies in timing. Just enough coherence to be funny, just enough chaos to be dangerous. Cornholio didn't need logic, he needed TP. The character mocked everything, mental health, authority, and the very idea of meaning, and somehow it worked. He's still referenced today, proving that pure nonsense sometimes has the longest shelf life. Bushfire Brigade. Few episodes capture pure delinquency like Home Improvement, where Beavis and Butthead torched neighborhood bushes for fun. Suburban vandalism never looked so cheerful. The show turned arson into slapstick, delighting fans and horrifying adults. Critics called it the glorification of destruction. MTV called it ratings. The boys didn't care about consequences, they cared about fire, laughter, and chaos. It was the ultimate display of teenage apathy wrapped in cartoon absurdity. Watching it now feels like studying a 90s time capsule of moral panic. Beavis and Butthead didn't create bad behavior. They exaggerated it until it became art. The smoke wasn't just from flames, it was from the cultural meltdown that followed. This was stupidity weaponized for entertainment, and somehow, it worked better than most modern satire. Gen X zombie apocalypse. Beavis and Butthead became living memes long before memes existed. They embodied the Gen X stereotype: lazy, sarcastic, and allergic to ambition. Critics accused them of glorifying apathy, but the show was mocking it. The boys were anti-heroes for a generation raised on fast food and cable TV. They didn't dream big. They didn't dream at all. Their endless loop of TV watching, bad jokes, and failed schemes became a mirror for a culture numbed by screens. The brilliance was unintentional honesty. Beavis and Butthead weren't aspirational, they were relatable. They captured a mood more than a message, proving that nothing defines an era like shared stupidity. The real twist? Their nihilism aged perfectly. They'd fit right in on TikTok, still doing nothing, still famous for it. Creepy Charm School. Every failed romantic subplot in Beavis and Butthead is a horror film disguised as comedy. Their idea of flirting involves grunting, staring, and saying whatever word sounds dirtiest. The girlfriend episode turned this cluelessness into an anthropological study of toxic masculinity. Critics shredded it, and deservedly so. But the genius was in its obliviousness. The boys genuinely think they're being smooth, and that sincerity makes it both hysterical and terrifying. MTV never framed them as role models, but the message blurred when millions of teens watched without irony. It was satire mistaken for advice, humor mistaken for behavior. Today it reads like a cringe-inducing manual on what not to do, wrapped in adolescent glee. Beavis and Butthead didn't invent bad flirting. They perfected it, complete with drool. Musical Snobbery 101. Beavis and Butthead were self-proclaimed music critics with the taste of a malfunctioning jukebox. If it wasn't metal, it was garbage. Their music video commentary mocked pop, hip-hop, and everything else with the sophistication of two cavemen reviewing Mozart. Strangely, it worked. Audiences tuned in just to watch them insult artists. Their tasteless honesty became refreshing in a world drowning in PR fluff. But it also created an army of teen imitators parroting their mockery without understanding satire. The show became cultural gatekeeping for the clueless. Yet, hidden beneath the stupidity was a genius commentary on fandom itself. People love to hate what's popular. Beavis and Butthead turned criticism into comedy, proving you don't need expertise to have an opinion, just volume and bad grammar. Box Office Bonanza. Beavis and Butthead Do America turned crude humor into cinematic gold, grossing over $60 million worldwide. It was the dumbest success story of the decade. The film followed our heroes on a chaotic road trip across the US, leaving a trail of explosions, misunderstandings, and confused authority figures. Critics rolled their eyes. Audiences rolled with laughter. The genius wasn't in the plot. It was in proving that lowbrow sells. The movie became a victory lap for stupidity done right. It wasn't deep, it wasn't moral, but it was hilarious. Beavis and Butthead somehow became international stars by being aggressively useless. Hollywood learned a valuable lesson that year. If you make people laugh hard enough, they'll ignore everything else. Comedy doesn't have to be smart, it just has to be loud. TikTok gets schooled. When the 2022 reboot dropped, Beavis and Butthead met TikTok and lost. The writers tried turning their outdated idiocy into modern satire, but it came off like your dad complaining about influencers. The humor aimed at Gen Z, but hit the wall of nostalgia fatigue instead. The duo's brand of stupidity felt quaint next to today's chaos. Yet, in moments, it still worked. Watching them try to understand viral dances or reaction videos was comedy gold. They were fossils marveling at evolution. The reboot's flaw wasn't the concept, it was the refusal to adapt. Beavis and Butthead didn't need to critique TikTok. They were TikTok before it existed. The show forgot that irony, like denim shorts, doesn't always age well. Revival stagnation. The 2023 revival proved that even cartoons can suffer midlife crises. Beavis and Butthead returned unchanged. Still in high school, still clueless. Critics roasted it as nostalgia dressed in flannel. The humor hit familiar beats, but missed the spark of rebellion. It felt safe, which is the worst insult for a show built on chaos. Fans wanted evolution. They got reruns with high-definition graphics. The irony is brutal. A show mocking stagnation became a victim of it. Beavis and Butthead didn't grow because they can't. Their stupidity is eternal, and maybe that's the joke. Still, it's hard to laugh when the punchlines feel preserved in amber. Revival should have meant reinvention. Instead, it proved that time travel works, just not for comedy. Way down Mexico way. This episode was chaos with cultural insensitivity sprinkled on top. Beavis and Butthead's misadventures south of the border turned stereotypes into slapstick and offended nearly everyone. MTV pulled it quickly, realizing that international relations via stupidity wasn't the best branding. Critics slammed it for mocking another culture. Defenders claimed it mocked ignorance itself. Both were right. The episode was hilarious, horrifying, and confusing in equal measure. The duo treated Mexico like a playground for their idiocy, turning border politics into bathroom humor. Watching it now feels like a time capsule from a less self-aware era. Funny until it isn't. It's proof that satire without restraint is a grenade with no pin, and Beavis and Butthead were always the ones holding it. X-rated universe. Do the Universe brought Beavis and Butthead into the streaming age with a new level of raunch. The film's infamous adult gag reminded audiences that these two never matured a day. Critics debated whether it was boundary pushing or just desperate shock value. Either way, it fit perfectly. The humor was crude, the plot chaotic, and the commentary non-existent. Fans loved it precisely because it refused to evolve. The joke wasn't just in the writing, it was in the stubbornness. Beavis and Butthead don't change, and neither does their audience. Watching them stumble through space and sex jokes felt like reuniting with old friends who still can't pay rent. It's tasteless, timeless, and somehow still funny. Linguistic Legacy. Few shows polluted language as effectively as Beavis and Butthead. Their trademark giggles and became global shorthand for stupidity. Classrooms echoed their catchphrases, parents despaired, and linguists wept. Yet their impact on slang was undeniable. They turned nonsense into communication. Fire, cool, and butt became pillars of adolescent vocabulary. It was idiocy codified into speech. The duo didn't just reflect pop culture, they rewired it. Every sarcastic laugh and brain-dead one-liner became a generational echo. They proved that you don't need eloquence to be memorable, just repetition and attitude. The result is linguistic graffiti that refuses to fade. Love them or hate them, Beavis and Butthead changed how we talk, laugh, and occasionally grunt. And there you have it. What do you think of these legendary misfits? Let me know down below. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.